The silent centuries, the forgotten. Peace, the Galactic Federation had known. Peace for so long that war had become nothing more than a subject studied in history archives. Commander Zella of the Exploration Corps stood on the bridge of the survey vessel Harmonious Dawn, watching distant stars flicker on the main screen. 8,000 years had passed since the last conflict, 8,000 years of cooperation, trade, and mutual growth. Among 300 different species, Zella was Athenian, a species known for their forearms and exceptional memory. She had served the Federation for 60 years, exploring uncharted regions and cataloging new phenomena. In all that time, she had never encountered anything dangerous. Space was vast and mostly empty. The civilized galaxy was safe. Commander called out her sensor officer, a young Corey named Vess. I am detecting an unusual signal from the silent sector. Zella turned her attention to him. The silent sector was a region of space that had been marked as off-limits. For millennia, ancient records suggested it had once been inhabited, but no one remembered by whom or why it had been abandoned. What kind of signal? It appears to be a distress beacon, Vess replied, his antenna twitching with confusion. Very old technology. Pattern matches nothing in our current databases, but the computer found a reference in the historical archives. Echoes from the past. Zella moved to the sensor station and examined the data herself. The beacon was faint, repeating the same message over and over. When the computer finally translated it, the words sent a chill through her forearms. This is Earth Defense Ship Sentinel. Final crew log. We have entered voluntary isolation to prevent galactic conflict. Do not follow, do not search. We will return when humanity has learned to control its nature. This message will repeat for 10,000 years. Earth, Zella whispered. She knew that name from ancient history. Humans had been part of the early Federation, brilliant and innovative, but also aggressive and unpredictable. They had disappeared 8,000 years ago without explanation. Most species assumed they had destroyed themselves in some civil war. Their absence had been quietly accepted, then forgotten. Commander, there is more, Vess said nervously. The beacon just stopped after 8,000 years. Yes, and I am detecting something else. Now, a massive power signature emerging from the silent sector. It is moving, coming toward Federation space. Zella felt her hearts begin to race. How large? Vess checked his instruments twice before answering. 5 km long. Commander, it is a ship, the largest ship I have ever seen. The emergency council within hours. Zella's report reached the Federation High Council on the capital world of Sanctuary. The council chamber erupted in confusion and fear. Representatives from dozens of species argued about what to do. This must be a mistake, declared Ambassador Thorne, a crystalline being who served as the council's senior member. Humans have been gone for 8,000 years. They are extinct. The sensor data is clear. Zella transmitted from her ship. Something very large and very powerful is coming from the region where humans vanished, and their distress beacon has gone silent after running for millennia. Council leader Maris, a wise and ancient Valoran, raised her hand for silence. Her species lived for centuries and remembered more history than most. I have studied the old records. Humans were dangerous, yes, but they were also honorable. They left by choice, not by Defeat, if they are returning, we must. Discover why we have no warships. Another ambassador pointed out, we dismantled our military 8,000 years ago. We have nothing that could stop a vessel of that size. If it proves hostile, then we must hope they come in peace. Maris said quietly, prepare a diplomatic delegation and send our fastest ships to intercept them before they reach populated systems. We need to know their intention. First sighting 3 days later, the harmonious dawn, and 5 other Federation vessels waited at the edge of the silent sector. Zella stood on her bridge, her forearms gripping the command rail tightly. Every species represented in the small fleet was nervous. They had never faced anything like this. Contact in 30 seconds, Vess announced. The ship appeared on their sensors first, then gradually became visible to the naked eye. It was enormous, black as the void itself, with lines that suggested both elegance and lethal purpose. Strange markings covered its hull, letters and numbers in a language that the translation computers struggled to process. That is definitely human design, Zella breathed, but nothing like the ships they had when they left. This is something new. The massive vessel slowed as it approached the Federation fleet. It made no aggressive moves, but its very presence was intimidating. Z could see weapon ports along its hull, energy signatures that suggested shields far more powerful than anything the Federation possessed. They are hailing us, the communications officer announced. Put them through. Screen flickered and a face appeared. It was human. There was no doubt about that. She was a woman with dark skin and gray hair, wearing a uniform that looked both military and practical. Her eyes were sharp, intelligent, and very much alive. This is Captain Sarah Chin of the Earth Defense Ship Sentinel, the woman said. Her voice was calm but carried in weight of authority. We received your approach and are happy to make peaceful contact. We apologize if our arrival has caused alarm. That was not our intention. Zella found her voice. I am Commander Zella of the Galactic Federation. We thought your species was extinct. Where have you been for 8,000 years? Captain Chin smiled slightly. Training, commander, improving, learning to be better than we were. Humanity recognized that we were too aggressive, too quick to conflict, so we left the galaxy to work on ourselves. We have been waiting in isolation, testing our discipline, building our strength. Now we are ready to return. Why now? Zilla asked. The smile faded from Chen's face. Because we detected something you have not, something coming from beyond the galactic rim, something that makes our warship necessary. Commander, the galaxy is in danger, and whether you like it or not, you are going to need us. Behind the Sentinel, in the depths of space, something flickered on the long-range sensors. Something vast and ancient, moving slowly but inevitably toward the civilized galaxy. The Federation had let down its guard. They had forgotten that the universe could be dangerous, but humanity had not forgotten. They had spent 8,000 years preparing for exactly this moment. When legends wake the demonstration, Captain Sarah Chin stood in the Sentinel's war room, studying the holographic display that showed the approaching Federation fleet. 6 small vessels, lightly armed, designed for exploration rather than combat. They looked fragile compared to the Sentinel, like children's toys next to a predator. They are afraid of us, said her first Officer Lieutenant Commander Marcus Webb. He was a tall man with cybernetic enhancements along his arms, improvements that humanity had developed. During their long isolation, they should. B. Chin replied, but we are not here to frighten them, we are here to save them. She paused, still they need to understand what they are dealing with. Both us and the threat coming toward them. Shall I prepare a demonstration? Gentle one, let us show them what they Sentinel can do without actually hurting anyone. 20 minutes later, the Federation fleet watched in astonishment as the Sentinel performed maneuvers that should have been impossible for a ship of its size. It accelerated faster than their sensors could track, turned on angles that defied their understanding of physics, and generated energy shields that made their own defensive systems look like paper. How is this possible? Zella asked her science officer. I do not know, Commander. Their technology is beyond anything in our databases. They must have made incredible advances. During their isolation, the Sentinel came to a stop directly in front of the harmonious dawn, close enough that Zella could see details on its hull. Then, without warning, a beam of light shot from one of its weapons arrays. Zella's crew gasped, but the beam did not strike them. Instead, it hit a small asteroid several thousand km away. The asteroid simply ceased to exist, vaporized so completely that not even dust remained. A warning, Zila said softly. They are showing us that they could destroy us easily but choose not to. A message came through from Captain Chin. Commander Zella, I apologize for the dramatic display, but you need to understand what is coming. Please allow me to come aboard your vessel with a small team. We have information that your leaders must see immediately. The truth revealed. An hour later, Captain Chin and two of her officers materialized on the harmonious Dawn's bridge using a transportation technology the Federation had never seen. Zella tried not to show her amazement. The humans wore sleek uniforms with built-in technology, and they moved with a confidence that came from centuries of preparation. Thank you for receiving us, Chin said, extending her hand in the ancient human gesture of greeting. Zella carefully reached out with one of her forearms and shook it. You said the galaxy is in danger, Zella said. Please explain. Chin activated a device on her wrist, and a holographic image appeared in the center of the bridge. It showed something massive moving through the dark space between galaxies. The shape was difficult to define, but it looked organic and wrong, like something that should not exist. This is a devourer, Chin explained, an ancient weapon created by a civilization that died millions of years ago. It travels between galaxies, consuming everything in its path: matter, energy, life. Everything. Your ancestors encountered these things before during the old wars. They managed to drive several of them away, but this one was dormant, sleeping in the void. Now it is awake. How do you know about this? Zella asked. Because humans are paranoid, Chin said, with a slight smile. When we left the galaxy, we did not just work on controlling our aggressive nature. We also built sensors, observatories, and warning systems throughout the galactic rim. We wanted to make sure nothing could sneak up on the Federation while we were gone. 3 years ago, our systems detected this devourer beginning to move. That is why we are returning. Now, Vest studied the hologram with his instruments. This thing is impossible. If what you say is true, it could destroy entire star systems. It has already destroyed 17 uninhabited systems. In the outer rim, Chin said quietly. It is moving slowly, but it is coming. In approximately 5 years, it will reach the first inhabited Federation worlds. After that, it will consume everything. Unless we stop it, the hard choice. The Federation High Council met again this time with Captain Chin present via holographic transmission. The massive chamber was silent as the council members absorbed what they had been told. You are asking us to trust you, Council Leader Mari said, to believe that humanity has changed, that you are no longer the aggressive species you once were. No, Shin corrected. I am asking you to trust that we are exactly as aggressive as we always were. That is why we left. We knew our nature could not be changed, only controlled and directed. For 8,000 years we have trained every generation in discipline, honor and self-control. We still have our aggressive instincts, but now we choose when and how to use them, and right now we choose to use them to protect the galaxy. Why? Asked Ambassador Thorne. Why would you risk your lives for species that barely remember you? Chen's expression became serious. Because isolation taught us something important. Strength without purpose is meaningless. We built the greatest warship in galactic history. But what good is that if we only use it to protect ourselves? Humanity left because we were dangerous. We are returning because the galaxy needs something dangerous to fight the devourer. The council deliberated for hours. Some wanted to reject the human offer to find their own solution. Others argued that they had no choice. The Federation had no weapons capable of fighting something like the devourer. They had spent 8,000 years in peace, and now that peace was their weakness. Finally Mari spoke. The council has decided. We will accept your help, Captain Chin, but we have conditions. You will work with our commanders. You will share your technology, and you will prove that humanity has truly changed. Chin nodded, agreed, but I have one condition of my own. When this is over, when the devourer is destroyed, humanity requests full membership in the Galactic Federation, not as outcasts or observers, but as equal partners. If you succeed in saving us, Mari said, that request will be granted. Welcome back, Captain. The galaxy has missed you more than it realized. Hope returns. As the Sentinel turned toward the approaching threat, accompanied now by the full support of the Federation, Commander Zella watched from her ship, the massive warship that had terrified them days ago now represented their only hope. Do you think they can stop it? Bess asked. Zella considered the question. She thought about Captain Chin's confidence, the Sentinel's impossible technology, and humanity's 8,000-year preparation for this exact moment. I think, she said slowly, that the devourer has no idea what it is about to face. The galaxy let down its guard, yes, but humanity never did. They have been waiting, watching, and preparing, and now they are here. The Sentinel's engines flared bright as it accelerated toward the outer rim, toward the coming darkness, toward a battle that would determine the fate of billions. Earth's deadliest warship was no longer alone. It carried with it the hopes of an entire galaxy and the promise that sometimes the most dangerous thing in the universe is the one standing between you and extinction. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. The end.